welcome back to another episode of the Earthy Jawn podcast, where we dive deep into spaces that shape us. And today I want to explore the power of isolation and how that can be a pivotal step for you on your healing journey. So an experience that I went through that catapulted me into my healing journey beyond the work that I was doing, but actually put me in a space of deep self-awareness and self-actualization, was when I was invited to a 10-day meditation course. And a good friend of mine, Tiffany, actually invited me. She called me up and was like, "Hey Maya, someone told me about this meditation called Vipassana, and it's supposed to, pretty much change your life." So, at that time I was very open to changing my life, and I was open to making a change, and I just was seeking a transformation. So I was open-minded, and we ended up taking a trip. I think it was like maybe a 3 or 4 hour drive from a part of Georgia that she lives in to the part of Georgia that it was in, which was in a really rural area. And we, on the way, we just was like, girl, what are we doing? Are we really doing this? But at that point, we couldn't turn back, and we were already so dedicated to our transformation. So when we got there, it pretty much was like this wooden sign that was hand carved, and it said Vipassana. So we're just like looking at each other like, okay. And it's like we're driving down like this dirt road, and we're seeing like really small houses on the side of this dirt road. So we're like, okay, people live here. What type of situation are we getting into? So we already making a plan, like, girl, if we don't feel comfortable, just like give me that look and we will be out, right? But thankfully she never gave me that look, and I never felt compelled to give her the look either. Okay, so we pull up, and there's a bunch of other cars there. So we're like, okay, so maybe this is really like some legit type situation, and there's nothing to worry about. So we pop the trunk, we get our carry-on suitcases out, and we walk inside the building, and it's a bunch of people in there. I want to say like maybe like over 50 people, and there's women and men, older women, older men, younger women, younger men. It's just like a very diverse group, like people from all walks of life was just like in this room. And listen, I was just like, okay, still open and observing, not judging, not expecting, and just I was already familiar with meditation because my dad introduced it to me once I got out of high school. So I just was like, this can't be that hard. Like, I already know, pretty much the pretty much how to meditate, right? And what to meditate on, right? But no, this wasn't like that. And, they ended up splitting me and Tiffany up. Like, the only time I saw her was at like breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That was the only time I saw her, and I was looking for her, but she just was in her own world, and I was okay with that, because she was comfortable, and that made me feel comfortable. So the first day, we're getting kind of like comfortable in our rooms or whatever. So mind you, the rules are no talking, you can't read. They took everybody's phones away, and it just was you, like no making eye contact or anything. It just was like you in your own world the entire time. So like somebody will hold the door, you won't say thank you, you just would not use your voice to speak, right? So I'm getting set up in my room, and I'm just trying to get comfortable or whatever, and just make my space feel, I guess, at home. but which was totally impossible. But anyway, I was ended up bunking with 2 other girls. I could tell that were younger than me. They were not the same ethnicity as me. They were not the same ethnicity as me, and I could tell that they were younger than I, and which was fine, still observing, still not, judging or whatever. So we get invited to dinner with, the sound of this gong, because nobody's talking, nobody's like, that was the only way, that was our only form of communication. Like every time it was time for the next task or the next thing, somebody will walk around and just ring the gong, like gong, 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 right? So we went to dinner, and it was completely vegetarian. I think it was like lasagna or something. It was pretty good. I mean, it wasn't home lasagna, but it was good, and it was vegan, so the cheese wasn't dairy or anything, and I actually felt comfortable with the meals. So then, the next morning, I think it was about like 4 o'clock in the morning, maybe 4:30, and we are awakened by the sound of this gong. Like somebody is walking around this land, just waking everybody up, gong, and this thing is loud, especially 4 o'clock in the morning. So I'm getting up, and I'm putting my shoes on, and I'm putting my little jacket on, and everybody's making their way to the meditation house. I don't know what the name of the house was, but I called it the meditation house. So we get there, and there's like all these little puffs on the floor for you to sit on if you want to sit on them. There was chairs for people that had back issues or whatever, that they needed to just to like sit in a chair. So I forget how even long the very first session of meditation was, but it was 10 hours a day. So 100 hours of meditation for the entire 10 days, right? Very transforming. So we learned how it was 3 different types of meditations, and they all work together in unison. So I think for like the first 3 days, we meditated in a way that kind of just like eradicated things, right? It brought things up and just like made us face them. And then the second meditation was just like observing these feelings in our body or whatever. So by day 3, I was in so much pain, physically, emotionally, in anguish. And I got up and I walked to the shaman, and I just was like talking to her like, I'm just in pain, and I'm feeling this way, and oh, my parents this and my parents that, and I'm just aching. I'm aching. And she just was like, she pretty much just told me like, I'm doing a good job. Like, you're doing a good job. That's all she said to me, and I left, and I'm in tears, like bawling tears. So the next 3 days or the next 2 days was a different type of meditation, and then the last couple days were the final type of meditation, which was like a healing meditation, right, where we had to visualize, use our imagination and visualize ourselves healing. And I don't want to go too deep into the types of meditations and what we were doing as far as what we were told to do, what we were told to visualize and stuff like that. I'm not going to go too deep into that in this podcast, but I could definitely do it like in a one-on-one conversation, because it was it was the most challenging thing I've ever done in my life. And doing that made me feel like I can do anything that I set my mind to. Like, that's how much strength I walked away, how much mental strength I walked away with. Like, physically, my body was in so much pain, because I'm just sitting there for 10 hours a day. And yeah, we did have breaks like breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and we were able to walk around the land. Like they had a trail, couple different trails, but all the trails led to the same point, so you wouldn't get lost. And yeah, like this experience was life-changing. The fact that I could not read anything or look at my phone or just find something to distract me, like talking to someone and judging something, or the scent of something just reminding me of something, like there was nothing to put me in a place of my past that made me experience something other than what I was supposed to experience. So just being in that present moment for those 100 hours of meditation and for 10 days, it pretty much set the foundation of my healing journey moving forward from that point on. And I didn't realize how much of the pain that I was going through was self-inflicted, and a lot of things that I was going through, I was blaming other people for, instead of just taking accountability and creating my own path and creating the life that I wanted to live, So yeah, like I just realized that I needed to get out of my own way, like in every aspect of life, because we may show up our best selves in one aspect, but we kind of have some sort of blocks in other things in our life. But just practicing that muscle of being present and meditative in those moments. Meditation isn't just, going and sitting down and just sitting there in silence and focusing on a thought or focusing on a visual or something. Like, that's not always meditation. Meditation is just being present in the moment. And that is so important, because a lot of people are just living on autopilot. A lot of people are just living on autopilot, and they're not realizing that they're making decisions that don't align with the life that they truly want to live, or don't align with their higher selves, right? Don't align with their destiny. And my self-awareness just completely became so much clearer, because I was just living in the state of being slow. Like, I just wanted to just slow down and just make sure that I was doing things that aligned, that I was eating things that aligned, that I was choosing people in my life that aligned with my higher self, things that made me feel good. Even if it didn't make me feel good all the time, I knew that, being in this experience or this situation would help me grow. Because sometimes growing is not pretty. Sometimes growing does not feel good, but yes, I just wanted to thank my good friend Tiffany, because I don't know if she knows like how powerful that experience was for me. Like, and then like by day 9, I think at the end of day 9, we were able to, just talk to each other, and they didn't want to just like send us back out into the world after not talking. Like, I forgot how I sounded. I just was like totally out of this world. Like, I wasn't thinking about work. I wasn't thinking about being a mother. I wasn't thinking about being a daughter. I wasn't thinking about anything but that present moment. Like, I wasn't able to do anything that I was used to doing in my everyday routine. Like, I was just with myself, like undistracted with myself, mentally, physically, and emotionally. And whatever thoughts came up, I had to observe those thoughts, because I couldn't talk about them. I couldn't like write them down. Like, I was just in a state of being one and connected, and that was just so powerful. Like, that that experience of isolation was just so powerful for me that I just needed to share with the world, and on day 9 again, like I ended up, talking to people or listening to people that didn't have a great experience, but I chose not to engage in those conversations because I knew I had an amazing experience, even if it was the most challenging thing that I've ever gone through. Like, I knew that I already felt like a different person. And when I came back home and I was talking to my friends, or even if I didn't really dive deep on what exactly happened in this experience in the meditation course, like, they could just look at me and tell that I was different. Like, my choices was different. And they didn't like that. They didn't like that I didn't want to hang out with them on the weekends and go drinking and partying anymore. Like, the change was so drastic. Like, the transformation for me was so drastic that I was still in isolation. I was still forced to be with myself for a year afterwards, right? And I started to read more and study metaphysics and quantum mechanics, and it just was like I just became like this bookworm for knowledge. And I started to study like ancient civilizations and ancient Kemet and so many like different ancient texts, like the Tao Te Ching and Buddhism, and just living in a place of more compassion, in a space of more compassion and giving compassion to others. And just like for a year after that, it just was like just being by myself, like, and of course I still was going through, different experiences that, that didn't feel good or things like that, but I had like this tool of how to heal these feelings, and a lot of things was coming up, a lot of experience and situations was happening, but I had the tools to be in control of my emotions, be in control of the energy that I was giving out, and taking the energy that I was receiving and creating something out of it that would benefit me and my higher self in the long run, right? So, years later that went by, Tiffany, my good friend Tiffany, she hit me up again and was like, listen, me and my sis, we're working on this poetry book, and da-da-da-da-da. I'm with it because writing is my thing. Like, writing is my catharsis. Like, it's my therapy. It's what heals me. And I've already had like hundreds of poems and things that I wrote over the years anyway, so it just made sense. So yes, of course, I said yes. And we put out a poetry book, which was in the midst of unraveling, and then not too long after that we put out a affirmation book, which was in the midst of becoming, because once we're unraveling and unlearning the things that we were taught and unlearning the things that we believed for so long, we then had to become our higher selves and operate in our higher selves. So we felt that affirmations was the perfect thing, for that. We wrote an affirmation book because now you have to affirm positivity in yourself in every aspect of your life. Like, we had affirmations about money, we had affirmations about our health, affirmations about just who we are as a whole. And the entire experience was just healing, and I'm on this journey and it's not over yet, and I'm still like, I just want to share so much with the world about healing and the importance of healing, especially in our community, because so many of us need the resources and the tools to make a change in their lives. People want to transform, but don't necessarily know how to transform, or don't necessarily have the finances to pay for a therapist, So what can they do at home to do the work on themselves before, to be able to do the work, to be able to create the space of possibly earning more income, so that if they want to choose to go to therapy, they could go to therapy, or if they want to choose to go to a group therapy, because I also did a group thing with Landmark. So I was invited to this experience, and it was called Landmark, and there were different sessions, and I met so many amazing people in Landmark, where I also was called to isolate myself from my everyday routine and just meet new people. And I didn't feel alone. I felt like everybody else in the world is going through something, but when we connect, we heal together. And again, I met so many amazing people that I'm still friends with today, and I just enjoy. I'm just grateful that I'm enjoying the journey that I'm on. And just your mindset, just knowing that your mindset is what makes your reality, and when you're in a state of gratitude all the time, even when things aren't going the way you want them to go, or even if things don't look the way you want them to look, like just being grateful for where you are, and just taking something out of this experience. And what is this teaching me? What should I be learning from this moment or this experience? Is how we grow, So again, the power of isolation is so transformative, right? It's so transformative. Like, you're able to just step away from the noise and just realize, what do you want for yourself? So I'm calling you. I'm asking you to challenge yourself to step away from the noise, even if it's for a day, and you just need to not go on Instagram for the entire day for 24 hours. Don't go on social media for 24 hours. Don't eat the cookies for 24 hours, and just challenge yourself little by little every single day to isolate yourself from the things that are distracting you from your growth, from your transformation. So again, I want to say thank you for listening. Thank you for subscribing, and leave a comment. Click the like button. Click the hearts. I don't know what the next episode is going to be on. I'm simply going off of my intentions and what comes up for me in the day. And yeah, thank you. I appreciate you guys.